Hello, gentlemen. Reviving Real News back with you. Today, I'm going to talk about what goes on when you are leaving the prison system, specifically when you're dealing with child support. Uh, what goes on as you're getting ready to go, and then more or less you become homeless. Just to recap, the other video the other day just was telling what goes on in there and the difference in the treatment of the individual who is in a situation like that with child support or alimony. Because the system, the prison system, and the welfare system, they're not set up for that. They're not. It's only recently when you're in prison that they even have programs or any kind of pamphlets for fathers, men on child support, or men going through divorce and alimony. And specifically, those things are to get you out of there or to get you avenues or paperwork to drop all the money. And I'm not exaggerating that. Like, that is the blatant, blunt, honest truth. From the men to the women, everybody in between involved in the prison system, in just about any state in my country, they don't want you in there. They do not. So, it is what it is, guys. It's different for everybody, but the underlying overall message is there you are treated different, you are looked down upon, and your life compared to other inmates is different because, like I stated, unless you are illegally gaming the system, and I'm talking like illegally gaming it to the point where you might have staff involvement, or you have people on the outside on the streets gaming the system. You can't have money when you're on child support and alimony and stuff like that. You just can't. Even your state pay is deducted. So it's just completely set up against you. Guys, like in prison, you're supposed to be able to have certain privileges and certain whatever to feel a little bit normal, to feel a little bit more like a human or a man. But even those avenues are taken from you. The case in point, if you get state pay and it's $22, $30, okay, they're going to take percentage of that state pay to cover the child support and arrearages. But by law, for health and sanitary reasons and hygienic reasons, they have to leave you X amount of money so that you are allotted toothpaste, toothbrush, bar soap. I got shampoo if you have hair. I don't have hair. Deodorant, stuff like that. They have to. And if you are poor because of child support, you're going to have to swallow your pride and ego. Excuse me, guys. You're going to have to. You're going to have to go to your captain or the lieutenant of your dorm or whatever your unit is, because they know your money. They know your commissary. They know your indigent. They know all that. So they're going to give you the state stuff, the cheap stuff. And, you just got to do it. It is what it is. But that's, it's just a different lifestyle. It truly, really is. Like I said, it's because you don't have money. You can't maneuver. You can't really do anything. Guys might be civil. They'll talk to you. But it's not the same. It's just not, Like I said, there's ways to wiggle and do whatever. But in my experience, fellas, what I've seen and what I've heard and observed, it's not worth it. Is it really worth it to have somebody on the streets with the money, trusting somebody that you're locked up with just to get a doobie or a shot or whatever your vice is? Like, I don't know. It's not worth it, man. Not to mention, if you have the mental makeup and the capacity to stay away from things and do within your means or below your means, you do learn about yourself. It's hard, but you do learn. You do learn. You learn how strong you are. You learn how weak you are. You learn where your mind is. Because, like I said, fellas, you have to do without a lot compared to other inmates. You just have to. And depending upon what your security clearance is, if you're in an honor camp, stuff like that, you might get privileges and stuff because of those things. For example, like an honor camp, I know honor camps, once you're there enough, they have certain privileges or rewards. You go on waiting list for bottom bunk. You go on waiting list for a TV without having to have somebody pay for it from the streets, or and that's because people go home or people have contraband and they get their stuff repoed by the state, by the prison. And that's one way that they recycle those things, or they give you an incentive for not being a fool, or just keeping your head in the sand and staying as low-key, quiet, and as unrecognizable to any staff as possible. You are on a list, like I said, and you will get an opportunity eventually to go on a bottom bunk. And if you don't have money or a family, they usually, fellas, they will give you a TV, because they don't want you doing whatever. They don't want you in there being groupies and gangs and all this stuff. And the mental part of it is a big thing, fellas. I hate to say it because I do not like TV or any of that crap. But it's just something that keeps your head away from things. Like, don't get caught up in anything in there, guys. If you got to go, don't. You already got things against you. There's too many things against you already without your fault and they're out of your control. Don't get caught up in anything. Do not. Please. I can only implore. I can't tell anybody or nudge anybody. I can only strongly implore you based on what I know and what I've seen in the reality. Don't do anything. Don't. Stay out of the sports, the gambling, the financing, the drinking, the drugs, the cliques. Don't. The term lone wolf really does come from institutionalization or doing time. Because that's how most men, specifically Caucasian men, will survive. You go lone wolf. You have to go lone wolf. And you kind of have to let people know that you don't affiliate, you don't do these, you don't do that. I'm just imploring you guys, from what I've seen and what I know, don't do it. It's not worth it. It's not. Case in point with the drinking or the drugs, if you've been doing really good and you've got whatever positives for when you get released or go home, they do drug tests. They do it all the time. They do it randomly, or they do it based upon a need to. Is it really worth you losing the freedom? Or is it really worth you getting another charge or a ticket thing? Because all those kind of stuff can mess up your out date. You don't want that stuff. Is it really worth losing your commissary? It's like stupid stuff like that. And it's more geared towards the younger guys, because you do get caught up in it. The mental part of it, the fears and the rumors people spread, you get caught up in it, and your mental makeup determines a lot of it. You have to be strong. No is very powerful when you're in those predicaments. No is a powerful thing. I can only suggest or implore, if you have to endure this, and I pray to God you don't, you just get stronger mentally. Zed, you got to get stronger mentally. You have to learn no, and you have to learn yourself. But when you get ready to go home, it's probably 8 weeks or 6 weeks, you really starts to hit you. You already know pretty much if you have somewhere to go or don't. And this is more towards the men that are solo or don't have those things for whatever reasons. They're going to be on you, okay? You're going to be called into different offices. They're going to want to know things. I've told you before, they're not really keen on releasing men without reintroducing men back to society without some kind of plan, okay? Gentlemen, decades ago, they used to have halfway houses, okay? And that's where the men that didn't have support systems, family, or whatever, that's where they would go to get reintroduced to society, a job, to make sure they're not habitual alcoholics or drug addicts, stuff like this. Well, let's fast forward to several years ago, and to our climate today, and I can only speak upon my state. They don't have these things for men anymore because nobody cares about men. It shocked me. Honestly, it shocked me. When I was in this unit manager's office to do my release and to try to figure out what was going on, I was like, I was open and transparent, and I mentioned these things. That guy laughed at me. He's like, you have to be on parole, PRC, post-release control, or you have to be referred to because you're drug charges, alcohol charges, yada, yada. And I'm like, wait a minute, what? The first I'd ever heard that they had removed halfway houses. and reentry programs. That was a gut punch. Because the truth of the matter is, I did have somebody who said whatever that they would help me and they would do this and that to get me going, but it was all BS. It was all BS. This dude was doing whatever he was doing to validate himself, or he could have been on drugs. I don't really know the reason, but that was all BS. So that's how I know what I'm about to tell you guys. I had to go through this and learn a lot of it the hard way. My advice, fellas, if you really don't have anybody or don't really trust the situation, don't do it. Prepare yourself to have to go through this the hard way by yourself. So when the realization really hit me that I didn't have anywhere to go or anything, I was kind of upset and angry because, gentlemen, where I was doing my sentence was 4 or 5 hours away from where I'd been living, working, and everything. It was really just, it was tough for me to decide what to do. I had two choices. I had to try to go back to the place in the city that I was, or bury that chapter and try, I don't want to say something new, but try something that was difficult, but it was more familiar to me from my past and my childhood and everything else. And honestly, because it was a much bigger area. I really didn't have a choice. I really didn't. And I wasn't going to put myself as a homeless person in a whatever area, because the chances of my success, I just knew, weren't going to be that great. So I just eventually told the guy what I told him, just to get me out of there and get them to leave me alone, because I knew it. I just knew. But I wanted to go home, and I didn't want any crap, and I didn't want anything. I didn't want any nonsense from the prison system. So I kept it close to the vest until like the last couple of weeks I was there, because they call you into the civilian offices, and you have to make phone calls. Like, they are in the office with you. Part of it's on speakerphone, and then you get to pick up the phone and talk. But they want to make sure that you got somewhere to go, people are whatever going to be there for you. And that's when I was like, look, dude, I don't have anybody to call. I could call this person right here, but they're going to tell you a lie. I'm like, I've already determined that this is not what I was under the impression it was. So I got the guy to understand the situation, and I denied the bus ticket because I knew what I was going to have to do. And that's that. You just got to deal with it. You got to prepare yourself mentally. You got to prepare yourself mentally that you're going home, number one, and then number two, what you're going into, you don't know, and you have no idea. Because the truth of the matter is, shelters can take you or they can't take you. It all just depends. And this stuff is hard to talk about because there's a million things why it's difficult. It's embarrassing, but it's also gut-wrenching because But it is what it is, guys. I'm just going to tell you, straightforward, bluntly tell you. My time came, my day come. You go through the process. You get your release pay. You get paid for being every specific amount of time you're locked up. You get money. They have to give you money to get back out. You get a release ID. You get a piece of paper with all your rights and whatever given back to you by the state that you reside in or that incarcerated you. They go through all the medical stuff with you. You got to sign a whole bunch of consent and release things about your medical, about the insurance, because they put you on government insurance when you're in prison. You got all kinds of stuff like that. They do holder checks or warrant checks, which by that time, everybody should have all their warrants or holders taken care of. It's only if you really, really whatever to the county or whoever, that they let you sit for your sentence and don't do anything and then wait for you to be released. That's very rare. Very rare is it for someone to sit in prison in the county or the courts not come and deal with you. It's rare. But you go through all of that, and then You got to go through check after check, security check, visual check, like everything to make sure you're who you are, yada yada. You guys understand that? Then it's just you got to be cleared for count. They got to do population. Remove your prison number from this. It's got to be cleared by the state seat, the county seat of your state. It's all got to be cleared through all these legal things, prison things, and court things. All these T's have to be crossed and I's have to be dotted. Then they put you in a paddy wagon. It is a paddy wagon. Unless you have people there on the facility that are picking you up, you get put in a paddy wagon. Before you get in the paddy wagon, you get embarrassing clothes to wear. They give you a sweatsuit outfit that the entire population of humanity knows you've been in prison. And it's different colors for each prison. Each prison has a specific color of the sweat outfit they give you. And I'm telling you guys, that is embarrassing. Because when you get dressed and everything and you're cleared to go, you're in that paddy wagon, they're taking you to a Greyhound bus station, okay? 9.5 out of 10 times it's a Greyhound bus station. Because people are in an institution, but they live 4 or 5 hours away. The prison's not liable to get you there. They give you the bus ticket to get you to wherever. I was not going anywhere like that, so I got to the Greyhound, and I knew what I had to do. I just had to figure out how to do it, and I had to get myself mentally prepared to go do it. It's hard because you don't have transportation. People know that you just got out of prison. They just know. You're carrying your legal stuff with you and all this crazy stuff. This is where a lot of things change for you, man. Like, once you get into the shelter, you gotta go. It's just like being arrested or in prison. You gotta go through a whole intake. They do background stuff on you, everything. And like with my situation, they just knew because of how I was dressed and everything. I told them I just got out of prison. I have no family, no anything. I have no information I can give you. All I have is a release ID. I don't have anything. I have nothing. And, obviously after a couple hours and all the hoopla, the shelter did take me. Like in most major cities or even less major, most shelters will take you unless you have warrants or you got a DNR, a do not return. Like, you can actually get barred from shelters, food pantries, health access, all kinds of things for being an idiot, the drinking, the drugs, the prostitution, lots of serious things can get you DNR'd, which is a death sentence. That's a death sentence, fellas. I'm here to tell you right now, it's a death sentence. To have the access to shelter, food pantries, food stamps, and stuff like, and insurance and whatever, it can't really stop the insurance, but they can stop you from getting the medical stuff in the shelters and in the other agencies. They really can do it because they know you're manipulating or you're just abusing the system. But that stuff is insane, fellas. It is insane. Like, when going through it, the intake is nothing. It is what it is. You have to you get your own whatever ID badge for that shelter system. That gives you access to clothing because that ID is networked with whatever of your state and county. Food pantries, clothing things, medical stuff, mental health, all of these things. So instead of using like a state ID or driver's license, you probably would use that because it opens more avenues for you. That's like the first. That is what it is. It's the intake, and you pretty much are. You're mentally exhausted. You're physically exhausted, and you pretty much wait for them. If you can, you get right into the bed and you just be whatever, because you get up at 5:36 every day except for Saturday and Sunday. Like, it's not an option. If you don't whatever with the bed or get up and start moving, go to the bathroom or get dressed, you're out of there. You're out, gone. There's no room for debate. There's no, I don't feel good. There's no whatever hurts. There's no blah, blah, blah. It don't matter. It don't matter the weather, temperature, none of that. But this is really where it gets hard mentally and like your emotions and such. You've been in prison, okay? This is your first morning in the shelter around these kind of people, idiots, whatever you want to say, call them, whatever. It is, oh my Lord, fellas, it is so different. It is nasty. It is not sanitary. It is not hygienic. It is nothing like prison. Guys, gentlemen. Personally, I've been in shelters that have money, that were top of the line, but didn't have good resources or access to things in the community or the state or housing. And this right here, gentlemen, I've never seen anything like it, and I hope I never do again. Disgusting. And I mean filthy. I mean, I wanted, at that moment, prison was like the Ritz Hotel, the Hilton Hotel, or any of that crap that us people would never have, whatever, because we don't care about it, number one. And number two, we wouldn't waste our money on it. But you get my point. This place made prison look like a spa resort hotel. They had no anything for the showers. You were fully exposed to all these other men and staff members that are females. There was no doors or anything when you went poo. In prison, you had complete privacy in the shower and the bathroom. Prison, you had a whole lock on the door to go poo. Like, none of this nonsense. None of this. You had to go ask for TP. You couldn't have no TP. Oh my gosh, fellas. It did the food. The food is it's I guess it's food, but that's a whole nother subject, guys. When you get out of prison, I'm telling you, do not go messing with food. It takes you 48 hours to a week straight for your chemistry and the microbes of bacteria in your gut to adjust from the types of stuff you had in commissary and that you had to eat in prison and in jail to the streets. I'm telling you the truth. Even eating a soup or a ramen noodle on the streets, you're going to get sick. You're going to throw up. You're going to be nauseous. You can't keep anything in your system because you're recalibrating everything. And nobody tells you this, guys. Nobody tells you this at all. That is, fellas, if you ever have to go through this, remember what I'm telling you. When you go home, don't mess with food. You have to be real finicky, slow, and meticulous, or you're going to make yourself sick. You're going to be physically miserable for a week. I do mean it. You're going to be to the point where it's so bad, the only thing that's any help is puking, or you literally being on the hardest surface you can find and keeping your stomach or your side on that surface. It is nothing. I don't wish it on anything, gentlemen. But yeah, let's get back to the shelter thing. It's ridiculous. The people are gross. There's no anything for anybody else in there unless you're in a gang or you know people because of drugs and criminal activity. You have to check yourself, guys. And I'm exposing myself here because I'm man enough to do it. My second or third morning there, somebody was putting their hands on me and running they were running their mouth. They were doing unmature or unmanly things and stuff, and I don't. And those things, guys, don't let people pull your heartstrings, okay? I know certain people have it harder or might be worse off mentally or physically than you are, but in prison or in a shelter, you got to be a man, okay? Don't let people pull your strings. And this dude kept thinking, and this other guy kept thinking, blah, 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 because of their own things that work against me or in their favor that I was supposed to just lay over, bow down, and let him keep doing it. I've been in prison. I told myself mentally, I was like, one or two more smart remarks or gestures of touching me and it's over. And they did. They didn't care. They kept doing whatever because they're whatever homeless guys and thinking they're invincible. I didn't have no coof at all. I didn't care. I raised my voice and I defended myself to a T. And I got in big trouble. And the only reason they even kept me or helped me or let me come back was because the people involved knew I was in prison, number one. Number two, they knew I was in one of the worst prisons America has to offer. And then and that's not an exaggeration, gentlemen. If I could do it and show you the papers in that folder I have and everything without exposing my personal social security number, my last name and everything, I'd show it to you. I'd show it to you. Go watch any of the documentaries or anything about the American prison system and the whatever, and you'll see in the top 5, I was in one of the top 5. That's not an exaggeration. It's one of the oldest institutions in America. It's still standing to this day. And that's, I mean, I got scolded. I got read the riot act, and I got called names and got told whatever. But at the end of the day, it's a reality check, and you have to really be. That's, I'm telling you, the mental part of this is no exaggeration. A shelter is a night and day difference compared to being in prison. Okay, guys, and I'm telling you from experience. The other shelters I've been in and the homeless things I've dealt with were nothing compared to this. I mean, this place had paramedics coming every hour, it seemed like, especially in the winter, for people with the stupid needles and everything. This place was brutal. I was stealing all the time. Constant drugs. Constant stupid drugs. Disgusting. People are off their coof in there. A lot of people don't have any mental anything, any soul, any resemblance of humanity. I was expecting that kind of stuff in prison. And you did not experience and see this stuff in prison. Okay, guys? I understand why men don't go to shelters. I understand it. I do. The things I saw in there is insane. They tried to put females who identified or whatever, and they also tried to put lesbo to clowns in there. Well, at least back then, several years ago, the men still had their morals and principles and were not playing the game, and were not. They run them out. They ran them out of there. They went to the staff and got them out of there. Guys were refusing to use the bathroom to take showers. I mean, it was full-on assault. Like, the men were absolutely against the stuff. Today, I couldn't tell you. And I hope I never have to go find out. But I saw it all in there. I saw it all. Stay to yourself. Stay the heck away from the drugs and the gambling. And guys, as somebody who was born in the 80s and grew up in the 90s, I'm well-versed, okay? I'm well-versed. Seasoned and experienced veteran in this whole colorism, this urban BS, this demographic nonsense, the brainwashing of Caucasian teens, boys, and young adults, the absolute decimation, brainwashing, and destruction of Caucasian women, mothers, daughters, grandmothers, aunts, teachers, doctors. I'm well-versed and well aware of this. Gentlemen, stay true to yourself. Stop it. All those things you do in your teens and 20s, and you go and dressing, acting, and talking, and whatever, doing this stuff, and you go to prison or go to a real shelter, and you think you're hood, you think you're ghetto, you think you got skins in the game, and you throwing up all these signs. I'm telling you guys, get that crap out of your soul, your head, your verbiage, the way you dress, everything. I was born and raised when this stuff was, before it became anything. I know where it come from, where it started, and I'm telling you, don't do this. You go into places like this, the real people are going to put you in your place whether you believe it or not. And it's not going to happen when you expect it to happen, okay? They're not your friends. They're not your homies. They don't have your back. They're not going to be cool with you when they go get a place. They're not cool with you when they got the money and the supplies. They're using you, Caucasian brothers. They're using you for access to your women, your money, and your material things. Okay? Far few between is it a genuine bond, a relationship, or even getting along over a sports, a video game, or a movie. It is all manipulation, predictive programming to cause an issue where there shouldn't be an issue. Okay? I'm telling you, Caucasian men, don't stop this. Because when you go in the real world and you got to get in real situations, those things make a tremendous difference, man. Because then people aren't going to help you or tolerate it, and they're going to not take you serious. Case in point, the next time you put your pants on or a hat or a pair of shoes, think about how you're doing it, how you're wearing it, how you're presenting yourself. Them stupid hats, different angles and backwards and sideways, and different 18 pairs of pants falling all the way down to your cankles and everything else. Gentlemen, who do you think controls the prison system and the welfare system and the homeless system, okay? Who do you think gatekeeps all of this? Who do you think is making all the shots and everything? And you as a Caucasian go in there with all this and that and your music and your fake everything and you portraying something you're not? Come on, guys. Be smarter than this. And this all goes back to the whole feminism and the destruction of our culture and our families. That's why they don't want fathers. They know Caucasian women oodle, drool, and get all wet and bothered over the drugs, the dope, the BBC, and the stupid urban lifestyle and culture bullcrap. You guys have got to stay out of it. Stay away from the women who do it. Don't let your sons, your grandsons, your nephews, and them young men you coach or teach. Don't. It is a death sentence. Screw your music, screw your BET, screw your any of that stuff. Stay out of it, stay away from it, rebuke it. Stop enabling it. Start to hold the men accountable who talk and dress and go out like this. Hold the women accountable. Ignore them. Don't give them respect. Because they're not going to give it to you. I know what I'm saying because I'm telling you that this is what goes on in these shelters. You go to a real city, a real area, into real shelters, I'm telling you guys better not do it. I'm telling you. Ain't no one going to... It's bad, fellas. It's bad. And gentlemen, there's a difference between racism and standing up for yourself, your culture, your heritage, your family, your bloodlines, your beliefs. There's a whole big difference between racism and standing up for those things and what's right and wrong, okay? I ain't got no problem with no whatever color. You keep your stuff to yourself, I keep my stuff to myself. I don't go messing with your culture and your women and stuff. I don't expect you to come messing with me and mine and my women and my family. I don't push my beliefs, my clothing, and my whatever on you. Stop doing this to us. And as far as us, stop being weak-minded and afraid to be alone or afraid to be true to yourself. Okay? Stop being a puppet. Stop being a pawn into these stupid games of colorism, the gender stuff, and the fun activity with women. These shelters know everything, man. I'm telling you, when you do these things and you start acting away and talking away and dressing away, they know. You guys, when you're these shelters, man, you got to do everything. You got to go through the whole 9 yards, okay? I can only speak upon years ago when I did this. You required everything. You have to go get food stamps. You're homeless, okay? Before we get to that part, you really, truly, crucially want a certificate of homelessness. It's a homeless certificate, okay? I've tried every possible way to be able to show you what it looks like and what mine is and everything. It's impossible for me to do it because some way, somehow, my name or my financial information is going to be exposed. I can't do it. And I can't white it out or block it out just in case I need that paper. That's a crucial piece of paper to have, guys, okay? Like, you want your case manager or the staff, you want to be on them to get that for you. That opens a lot of doors, too, okay? That opens doors for housing. It opens doors for job training. It opens doors for you being able to get in places to volunteer, to get access to food, clothing, stuff for housing, furniture, you know what I mean? That's a crucial piece to have. That's why I know a lot of people lie about, oh, I don't this and that, I'm homeless and I can't whatever. I know what I'm saying to use the truth. Like, if you're going to do it right. If you got to be in it, do it right. Open every avenue and door you can get. But you want that certificate, okay? You absolutely want it. You need it. It's crucial. It's like having $100 bill constantly in your wallet for somebody who is in a homeless shelter. Uh, you got to get food stamps. You have to go on insurance. You have to. They want all proof of this. They put it in the system. They keep copies, everything. They give you. Another reason I don't feel sorry for people that don't have certain things is because I know you can get it for free. Like they give you all the coupons or the money to go get your birth certificate no matter where you were born. All the resources and money and certificates to go get your license or your state ID, social security number, your card, all of that. You got to have all of these things turned in, and you got to have, that's the paperwork. You got to, if you've been in prison, you can get out of this by going to a male staff member or by going above people's heads, because the shelters want mental evaluations. They want to probe you, prod you, talk to you, degrade you. They want to go make you do physicals, everything. I've been in prison. I have not been around any sexual activity, drugs, or anything. There was no reason or need for any man or woman to go touching me, poking me, prodding me, needles in me. I was adamant against this. And I got the men to understand it that were working there. And I also got waived from the mental health bullcrap. I don't personally believe in that stuff. I don't condone it. I know it's a product of feminism. I have a pretty good idea of where it comes from and why it comes from and how they drew it up. And it all goes into, they knew the complete decimation and destruction that the career woman and the strong and independent woman would go through mentally when they got to certain periods of their life. Henceforth, the profiting of the psychiatry and mental health system. It's not to help anybody, it's for profit. Just like drug and alcohol rehabilitation and all that crap, it's not for good, it's for profit. It's money laundering. It's just a scheme to keep you down. It's not there to help you at all. But I was pretty explicit in my personal situation and that I'd been in prison and I had already went through all this. I'm not letting you drug up anything. You have no reason to, because I did not come off of the streets. I was in a facility with health care, mental health, all these things. I don't need your whatever expertise from a shelter. I don't need it. You're not touching me and you're not questioning me, period. I was very, very adamant, and I presented very, very good evidence to why I did not need to do any of this. So I got out of it. You have to do a lot of those things, guys, in order just to get a decent bedding. And when I mean decent bedding, I mean to where you're not being bombarded at 5:30, 6 in the morning, to where if you're sick or the weather is absolutely brutal, you don't have to get up or leave. Like, you can actually sleep longer, 7, 8 in the morning. You can go to bed when you want to go to bed. You have your own private locker with your own lock on it. You can actually start to keep things or get stuff. Like, it's a whole different. So there's different phases and processes to the sheltering, guys. And you got to do it or they're going to kick you out. You got to do it. And then, you just got to do your daily stuff. Whether it's staying out of trouble, going to the library and getting on the internet and trying to do stuff. But like for me personally and any other man who's doing this just out of prison, you go through a lot of mental stuff. Especially because of child support. Like, you already know in the back of your mind you can't do anything. You already know 90% of what they're asking you and telling you to do, you can't do it, or it's going to make your situation worse. So it takes time. I mean, you really got to start going off by yourself when you're during the day. You got to start searching for yourself, and you got to start preparing yourself mentally. I just know, fellas. I know this. I know what programs they have. I know what they require of you. And a job is always something they require. Even though the job is going to take away every aspect of housing, food, hygiene, sanity, mental health, everything. They don't care. Because that's where their stupidity, their no experience, and all their narcissism and all those things come out and show out. Long story short about that, guys, is all them specialists and case managers and whoever, staff members, you're money to them. You're a number. So the more you volunteer, or the more they know about your money and your child support or your divorce, it's, you know what, guys, it's all used against you. It's all used against you, guys. But you got to take the time mentally. You have to mentally start to go through some things, fellas. You really do. You really mentally got to start going through some things about yourself, your finances, what can I do or what can't I do? You got to learn how to start talking to people again. You have to learn your tone of voice, your body language. And when you really start to be quiet and start to stay to yourself, you really see and hear what really is going on, the way it is for what it is. You see the colorism for what it really is. And it's not the Caucasians who are. I don't care. Come at me. It's not. It's not the Caucasians. It is not the Caucasians. And as far as all the other hatred and anger, it's both genders. This is where the gatekeeping is real. This is where the manipulation, the usury, all of these degradations happen. It is a gut punch, to say the least, fellas. And mentally, you've got to search yourself. You really have to understand your means, live within them or below them. And you really have to tell yourself that you're in it for yourself, by yourself. Because you start to see and hear things that you're like, oh my gosh, I can't do this. This isn't for me. It's hard to talk to the case managers, the housing people, because most of them hate men. They hate men. They all got fucking bastard kids. Most of the women you got to talk to are getting child support. They're going to hide papers from you. They've got means and avenues to call your county child support and do things. They will not do it. Gentlemen, repeat that. They have paperwork to do things to help you. They refuse to. Based on the color of your skin, and based on it's a woman who's getting or not getting the child support from whatever men. Okay? I've heard it all, and I've seen it all within a 5-month period of being in this shelter. With that said, I'm going to pause, and I'm going to make a part 2 to this. The sad thing is about any and all of this is nobody talks about this stuff and nobody says anything. You only hear made up horror stories or made up BS nonsense for a conversation purpose. If I would have ever heard anybody explain these things to me, I would have had a much better mental makeup or an outline plan in my head, short term or long term, on how to do it and what to do. And I would have been better prepared to start stashing things from my apartment or money or anything. I would have been better prepared for the colorism, the degradation, the segregation. I would have been better prepared for all of anything. And you got to fast forward to what we are now. I can only imagine. Actually, I am finding out how much more worse it is and how much serious this situation really truly is, guys. I don't want any man to do this, have to go through it, endure it, live it. I know what it is and I know how bad it is. And I know, guys, all states are different usually and all counties are different. But there's the same underlying message here. They don't care about you as a man with child support or divorce or alimony or anything. They don't care. They don't care unless there's a way for them to get money by helping you or associating with you. And that's the harsh reality, fellas. It really is the harsh reality. I hope everybody is okay. Hopefully everybody's better than I am. I hope everybody works and at least finds some kind of purpose. Morals, their faith, valuables, principles, ethics, standards, your beliefs, your faith. I don't want anybody to be in this. I guess the only positive of anything is I do know these things and I know what to go, how to do it, go through it, and what to expect. But it's sad that I know it, and it's sad that I can speak what I can speak. It's horrible. I shouldn't know any of this stuff. I shouldn't know any of this, and I do, and I'm embarrassed. I'm absolutely humiliated and embarrassed that I know this stuff. To the guys who are in it, and it is a possibility it could happen. I know. I understand. But I know how to do it. I know how to do it. And if I can do it, you guys can do it. Because in 2 decades plus experience with this, from the DNA diagnostic to as I sit here recording this video, I've said it before and I'm going to say it again. Most men are liars and don't tell the truth until after the fact they've been caught. Most men have some kind of support system. Their mom and dad aren't going to abandon them. Somebody's going to allow them a floor or a couch. Somebody's going to allow them to eat ramen noodles and take a shower. Somebody's going to care. I didn't have any of that stuff at all. And I'm still here today. And that's the thing that I want people to understand is it's not about me or any of that stuff. It's not about liking what I'm saying or caring what I'm saying. It's a simple fact. There's an actual man out here who did this when it hit 24, 25 is when all of this got real serious with the money and everything. All of this happened to me before I ever had an opportunity for anything. And I still am here today recording my voice. If I did this going from a kid to where I'm at today with nothing and nobody, to you guys out there that feel whatever, but you've got your parents, you've got some kind of support, you get to see your kids, you can do it. You can do it. It's in you. It's always in you. It's going to be in there. It's going to be there till you die. You have to choose to know it's in there and then use what's in you to do this. Nobody can do it for you. You're not going to get help. And I still to this day cannot understand how men have betrayed men. All over some stupid, disgusting woman or some stupid money. That's just what I don't get, man. And I take all the heat and all the negativity for calling people. I don't care. I'm not afraid to. You haven't walked a second in my shoes, put a pair of my socks on. You ain't seen what I've seen and heard what I've heard. That's why we're all falling apart, man. Because men don't care about men. Men don't want to say things that have happened to alert or let other men become aware. And then the nightmare just keeps getting darker and worse. Men start having more and more mental things, more and more fears, more and more phobias, and they become more and more isolated and more quiet. I don't want anybody to do this, go through this, or anything. I don't want any man to go on child support. I don't want any man to ever get in trouble with the system. But if it does happen, from me to you, there's ways to do it and means to do it. You just got to have it in you. And yes, there's bad days. There's absolute miserable days, miserable weeks, miserable months. Here's the thing. It's nothing's supposed to be hunky-dory, peachy keen all the time or every whatever. Or even every other month or every other week. All those people who have them cushy lifestyles and safe spaces and bubbles and maybe you've never faced anything or only once or twice, go look at their makeup. Go look at their mental makeup and everything. And then also remove a fraction of their stupid material or financial stuff. Hey, watch how quickly their mental makeup goes to shit. Sorry for cussing, but yeah. It'll go to shit. It's because they don't have any fortitude, they don't have any discipline, and they don't have any way to get out of their own ego in their own head. They feel useless and meaningless if they don't have that dollar or that stupid whatever hanging on their wall or that dumb stupid piece of furniture they don't use. But all in the same breath, they're way better than me, they're above me, they're superior to me. I'm not a human being to them. But I've been doing this for going on 20 some years now. I'm still here talking, recording a video. I'm still trying to be able to find a way to help somebody or to prevent something to somebody. You take away something that I have in my apartment right now, I'm still going to do whatever I'm going to do because I know there's no value in those things really. The most dangerous and the most valuable thing in this entire realm is knowledge. Knowledge is more powerful and destructive and anything in between than any kind of chemical, biological, quote unquote, nuclear, whatever. There's nothing that comes close to the ability and power of knowledge. And what happens when men get together and share their knowledge or discuss knowledge to fix things. And everybody's afraid of that. Everybody is. It's not about ego, views, subs. It's not about popularity. It's okay to be upset. It's okay to be afraid. It's okay to be angry. It's okay to have feelings. You're not alone. I'm living testament to it. You have it in you. You always will have it in you. And you may not believe in good and evil, but good and evil believes in all of you. Each and every single one of you. Man, woman, child, it believes in all of you. And I'm telling you again, and all of the stuff that I've been through, that's how I know there's good and evil. I've seen it. I have seen it. Be aware. I just hope nobody goes through what I've went through, guys. I hope nobody does. I hope. Especially now more than ever because of the lack of masculine leadership or any kind of male bonding or any kind of rites of passage of knowledge or of experiences. There's no guidance, leadership. This is all some female crap that's dumb. Gentlemen, if you stand for nothing, you'll fall for anything. Take care of yourselves. This has been Reviving Real News.